Hey everyone! Today we are going to talk about budgeting. I have been asked over and over how we budget, especially because I have an old video from like years ago talking about budgeting and it is very outdated. So today I'm finally updating that, and this is now how my husband and I budget our money. So we use this app called EveryDollar. It is by Dave Ramsey. We just use the free version. I think that the paid version is great if you have a consistent income or if you forget to use your budgeting app and you need to make sure transactions are importing. But personally, I like double checking our bank and kind of double checking ourselves. So the free version is actually ideal for us. And I'm just going to walk you through how we plan our budget. So we are in March right now, and I'm going to copy over our budget from March into April to show you kind of how we play around with it. These aren't actual numbers, and I'll explain that in a moment, but this is kind of our starting point for our budget. So this is what the inside of the program looks like. You can sign up for free at everydollar.com. I will link that down below. But basically, you have your budget, which is the main page. Up at the top, you have your date and everything and how much money you have left to budget for the month. The first section is always going to be income. This will just be where you add all of your sources of income. Below that is savings, and then you get into the different categories. You can edit and add these categories. You can move them around. It's super flexible on how you can kind of sort all this stuff. We just have a few simple categories: housing, transportation, food, lifestyle, debt, and other. And then the last one is gifts and donations. You can add new groups down at the bottom. And if you need to, you can reset your budget, which I won't be doing because this is set up how we like it. On the right here, you can see your total planned, spent, and remaining amounts, and you get a nice little kind of graph here to see how much of your income is going to which areas. Unfortunately, ours is mostly housing and debt, which again, I'll talk about in just a few minutes. If you have the Pro version or the Plus version, you can see all of your bank accounts listed here, and you would see a list of all your transactions here. If you have the free version, your transactions that you manually input will show up in here. All right, so you can see April has some lines dotted around it. That means that no budget has been created for it yet. You can click on April and then choose to start planning. It'll copy March budget over. Okay, so my husband and I both have varying paychecks, which can be really hard to budget because our paychecks vary every single month and every other week. I also work 2 jobs, and my husband gets disability income from the military and housing pay from the military while he's in school. So the only income that stays consistent every single month is his disability pay, which is always this amount, and the housing pay, which is always this amount as long as he's enrolled full-time. Everything else completely varies, and these numbers are actually not going to be correct at all. But we use these base numbers just to kind of help us plan out the budget, make sure that we're covering our basic expenses before kind of going in and adding these. What we do is we underestimate all of our income. Our normal income is a lot closer to $5,700 a month, but we try to way under budget so that way when it comes time to start adding extra income, all that extra income goes either towards debt or towards savings, depending on how we plan our month. So I'm going to go ahead and start just working through all of these. The first section here, savings, we have our emergency fund, which currently has $1,000 in it, so we don't add anything extra into that. This is baby step 1 in the Dave Ramsey baby steps. If you have no idea who Dave Ramsey is, I'll link to just his regular website down below. We did sign up last summer for his Financial Peace University class, and we are currently in baby step 2 working on paying off our debt. We'll do some more videos about this in the future, but for now, this is just the basics. So our emergency fund is done. The only other fund we have here is our health savings fund. I am basically self-insured. I use the Christian Healthcare Ministries plan, which is not insurance. It is a healthcare ministry. I'll link to that down below if you're interested in it. Maybe I'll do a whole video on that if you guys are interested. But basically, I pay $150 per month for that quote-unquote insurance. And anything under $500 is my responsibility. Anything over $500, they help me pay. So I need to have $500 at least in my health savings just to budget for regular doctor appointments, for small emergencies, and things like that. We are trying to get the health savings account up to about $2,000 so that if I had an emergency every week in a month that was a $500 emergency, we would be able to cover it. You can plan for this if you want to. If you don't want to or need to, you can leave this out. This is just something my husband and I decided to do. So we've just been adding between $100 and $500 every month to build that up to $2,000. For now, we budget at $100. If we do end up making extra money, we will split the money between debt and the health savings until this gets up to $2,000. The other thing that we have here is our sinking fund. So we have a list of things in our notes here that kind of qualify for our sinking fund. For example, I need to get my oil changed soon. So we budgeted $90, and it is not in parentheses like these guys are, which means that that money is actually in our account. We do have $813 in our account right now. My husband got hit a couple months ago, just a small fender bender, but the insurance paid us that money so that he can get his bumper fixed. So that money is just sitting in our sinking fund now until we get the repair done. My husband needs brakes. My truck is kind of nearing the end of its life. It needs repairs every now and then. So we just have $500 in here for those little quick repairs that we need to make to keep the truck running. We're going to pay for our dental insurance all in one chunk this year, which is $220. So we have not yet saved for that, but this month we will hit that and then we will pay it. My husband is saving for his concealed carry license. He's also going to need new tires soon, which will be about $1,000. And then our plan is to rebuild our sinking fund with about $1,000 so that, you know, for other little expenses, small emergencies, things like tires and small repairs in our apartment. That way we use this budget rather than our emergency fund. We basically break this down once we get to this point. We don't just add $1,000 without planning for it. But this is our plan right now. Okay, so the next section here is housing. Our rent isn't actually consistent because they include some small utilities in there. So this is overestimating our rent. This is the most it has ever been in 1 month. So we plan for $1,350 per month just to give ourselves a little bit of a buffer. It usually ends up being about $1,270 per month, between $1,270 and $1,300. Our Excel bill is consistent. We pay $61 per month. And then at the end of every year, if we paid more than we owe, they give us a refund. And if we pay less than we owe, which is usually what happens, we just pay a little more. So in February, we ended up paying $113 to make up for all of those months that were a little more expensive. But this works really well for us because we have a consistent bill 11 months out of the year. Our cable bill is not perfectly consistent because the taxes vary month to month, but usually it is right around the $80 mark. Then for transportation, this is kind of a hard section for us. We have kind of figured out that our gas every month costs around $200, but that varies a lot depending on how often we drive to see our families, if we take any longer road trips, or if my husband has days off from school where he's actually not driving as much as we planned. This usually gets changed throughout the month between $150 and $300. So we just put it smack dab in the middle, right around $200 a month. And if necessary, we adjust that throughout the month. Repairs and upkeep. This is for anything that we know is planned and we don't yet have in our sinking fund. So for example, if my windshield wipers needed to be replaced or we needed windshield wiper fluid or something like that, and it wasn't already in our sinking fund, we would add it here at the beginning of the month. We also have tolls that my husband can take when he's coming to and from school. He doesn't take them every day, but on days when the traffic is very heavy, we budget for that. We just budget about $20 per month, but this month we don't need to because we actually have a credit in that account. Food is pretty simple. We just do groceries and eating out. Groceries, we budget about $400 a month. It usually ends up being less than that, probably closer to $300. And then eating out sometimes goes up a little bit, maybe just by $20 or $30. So we just put $500 total, and then this is our entire food budget. So if we only spend $250 on groceries, we move the rest over into eating out. Lifestyle is next. This kind of is simple as well. I pay $150 for health insurance every month, and then we have our car insurance, renter's insurance through USAA. This varies a tiny bit, again, because of taxes, but it's usually around $225 every month. It's actually usually a little bit less than that. Debt is our fun one. This is all of the debts that we're currently working on. We have 2 credit cards, a car payment, and then I have student loan debt. We are paying the minimum on all of these guys, and we are almost done paying off our first credit card. The nice thing about the EveryDollar app is that it does show you can put in what your current balance is. So you can say what your current balance on the debt is, what the minimum payment is, and then you can either just put in the minimum payment, or if you put in any extra money, for example, if I put in like $15, it would tell me that my extra payment is $469. So you could see exactly how much extra you're paying on your debt every month, and it just kind of is a good visual representation of the debt snowball. So next up is the other category. We call this other because this kind of changes every month. The only thing that's really consistent in here is our cell phone. Our cell phone bill is through Google Fi, so we actually know what our bill will be before we pay it. So I usually just go in here at the beginning of the month once I know that number and pop it in here. The most that it has ever been is $70, and the least it has been is like $15. So this varies a lot, but we just put it in at the max just to cover ourselves, and that is pretty simple. Haircuts is kind of an every other month expense. My husband gets his haircut every other month or so. I just cut my own hair at home, so we just budgeted for that here in April. Coffee and alcohol, this is just for, Starbucks runs, beer runs, things like that. We don't drink out very often. If we do get alcohol or coffee at a restaurant, we just count that towards our dining out category. So this is really just if we run to the liquor store or if we run to the coffee store. We do have another category here. This is for small purchases, just things like candy bars at the gas station, or maybe like a quick fast food run, or picking up, something small like a shirt or something like that. We usually budget about $50 for this in the other category, but we don't add that to the budget until our second payday. Once we have a better idea of what our income is going to look like, then we budget in other accordingly. Gifts and donations, pretty much every month of the year, we have someone's birthday going on. We have a huge family, so we just try to budget around $50 every month. If we don't use that, we just pop it into our sinking fund for our gift plan. Anything that's left over at the end of the year, we can use towards Christmas gifts, but usually $50 covers us just fine. Our tithing, we just have an automatic payment going to our church every month. We are working on building this up. It is obviously not 10% of our income right now, but we are slowly just adding to it a little bit every month. So this month we'll probably bump it up to $120, next month $140, and our goal is to get it up to 10% over time once we kind of get this budget and our debt figured out. So that is basically how we do it. I know it can be hard to do with a varying income, but for the most part, this works really well for us because we're making sure that we're covering all of our basic expenses, before the month even starts, then any other extra income that comes in, usually around $1,000 of extra income, just goes towards our debt snowball. Like I said, every once in a while we'll put a little bit towards savings or a little extra towards a tithing. If there's some special event going on at the church that we want to make extra donations towards, we'll do that towards the end of the month when we know that we have that money in our account. But this is our favorite way to budget. There is an Android and iPhone app, so we can really easily add our expenses on the go, and it's just so simple and streamlined. The only other things that I'll show you really quick are the baby steps. You can see that we have baby step 1 completed because we saved $1,000 in our emergency fund. We're working on our debt snowball right now, which you can see is a lot. Let me know if you guys want to see more videos about all of our debt story, because it's a little nuts, but it can be really motivating, I know. And then the baby step 3 would be to save 3 to 6 months of expenses, which for us is right around $20,000 to $25,000. So you can see our progress here, and it's really nice just to be able to see all the baby steps laid out and see what our progress is. The last link is local providers. So if you need quick help for insurance, tax, retirement, investing, insurance, stuff like that, you can contact experts in this area near you and get their advice on stuff like that. So that is everything, you guys. Let me know if you have questions down below. Let me know if you want to see more videos about finances and paying off debt and things like that. And we will see you guys in the next video. Have a good one.